Hey guys, so we are going back to Fort Wilderness very soon. Very soon. And I just wanted to make a quick video before we go on how to make these Mickey ears, Nightmare Before Christmas inspired. I got a little creative. And this is just my own little design. And I wanted to show you guys in case anybody wanted to make some. Alright, so what you're going to need is any kind of crafting bond, and that's to put the jewels on to the ears. You're going to need some bling, and I got these at Michael's for the 40% that they always have. I just used a 40% coupon. I don't remember how much they were. This is about a 1-inch headband. I got a pack of 3 of them at Walmart for $4.96, I think it was. You can use any kind of other bling. You'll see what this is for later. You're going to need a glue gun with some glue sticks, a writing utensil, a good pair of scissors. And I do say good pair, anything that you could cut through like cardboard or foam board with. Some people might prefer to use like a scalpel. Is that a scalpel? X-Acto knife. Or instead of scissors, some people might want to use an X-Acto knife. It might be easier for you. It depends on what you have. And, you know, you're going to need, I found this is like the best find ever. I found this in the craft department or in the stationery department, depending on what store you buy it. But it is just some foam board. You know, it's just that regular old stuff that kids do projects with. You're going to need not too big of a piece. I'll show you how big. This is how many ears you can make. So you see that? You can see you will be able to make a lot of ears out of this one board. Alright, and last but not least, you're going to need something that's about 4 inches in circumference. Check around your house, you will be very surprised the amount of things that are about 4 inches. This top's about 4 inches. This cup is about 4 inches. Just the top to one of these lids, so you get the clue. Alright. So let's get this project going. I found like the easiest way possible to make this. So let's get to it. Okay, so the first thing you're going to want to do is get your round object, whatever that may be. I'm using the cup in this instance. I'm just going to put it close to the edge where I can get the most out of my board. I decided to use a pencil since this is black foam board. And I should be able to see the pencil when I turn it towards the light. It should be pretty easy. So you're going to need 2. Now this foam board has like a grid. So don't worry about that because I don't really think it'll show up in the sun. Someone has to really be looking. And when I make these ears, I plan on putting the grid side on the back side. So the front side of my ears will actually be totally solid black with no grid marks. Alright, so the next thing, that's a little off, but that can easily be fixed. Alright, okay, so I'm going to go ahead and cut these 2 out. And then I'll show you the next step. Alright guys, so once you guys start cutting these things, you will realize why I did not cut these while I was filming myself, because it is quite a pain in the neck. Alright, so you have your 2 circles. Next step is pretty easy. Get your headband. And you are going to place your ears where you think you might want them. I am going to put them almost 2 inches apart. That sounds good to me. Make sure you have them right where you want them. Then what you're going to want to do is get your pencil or writing utensil. Let me move my hand so you guys can actually see. And you are going to, right along the outside of the headband, just mark them off. And same on this side. Try to get them, of course, as even as you can. Alright, so you have them now marked off. Hopefully you could see it right there is where I actually made the line. Alright, so go ahead and cut this out, and then we'll move on to the next step. Okay, so now you've cut them out, and this is what's left. You don't need those anymore. So what you're going to do now is you're going to get your headband and just make sure that it's flush. That there's no spaces. Alright, once you're... Now you could do this two ways. I, for the first set that I made, chose to put the design first and then glue it on, and I'm thinking that's probably the easiest way to do it. Because if you attach it first, I like to attach mine kind of in the center of the headband, and that would make it hard because once you glue the ears on, you kind of want to be able to lay your design. So I think I'm going to do that again with these. I am going to go ahead, like I said, this one's got like a grid, which I don't even think you could see it. I'm not too worried about it. I think you kind of saw it right there for a split second. You have to look really close. Nobody's going to notice that. So what I'm going to do is I want Jack's face on this one and then the other design on this one. I'm going to show you the design that I came up with. This is one ear. There you go. Okay, so this is just what I came up with. That's one ear. And then here's the other one. So what I would do is, I've already done it here because it is quite time consuming. There are different sizes of these gemstones. I already did this. And how I did this one is I just copied the other one I had. I kind of counted the crystals and stuff. But just so that you know, I will take a picture of this one that I've already made and insert it so you can hit pause and then you can count how many big crystals, how many little crystals, and medium crystals. Because that is the most time consuming, is actually putting your design on here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to put my crystals on here. When you get this pack, you have several sizes. You have that size. I actually dumped them out on the table and sat there and took my time to see what looked good to me. You can make his eyes more round. You can make his mouth angry, whatever. But just make sure you set your design first. Make sure you like it. Actually put it on here. And remember that the ears are at an angle when it goes onto the headband. And then what I did was, one by one, very, very carefully, I took the crystal off, put a little dot of glue, and put the thing back. And then I did every one like that. And I pretty much did the same thing for the perimeter. Because as you can see, I also did the perimeter. So don't forget that your bow is going to overlap on some of these, but I just went all the way to the edge, and then I just covered it. I mean, if you want to save on crystals, just try to figure it out, I guess. I just found it easier to just go ahead and do it, and I knew I was going to cover some of them, but it was just easier for me to just do it that way. Alright, so I'm going to start putting the design that I made which is just a copy of this one, on here, and then I'll show you what I did next. Alright, so now I have put the design on here. Now, of course, when you do it, you're just going to initially make your design on here. This is just what I came up with, and now at the very end, I'm not going to put it now because it's kind of, it'll be in the way, but I'm going to put rhinestones all the way around, or gems, whatever these things are called. So this is what I did. I just got one. I took them off one at a time so I wouldn't lose my place. And this is time consuming, but I really enjoyed the results. That's why I wanted to share it with you guys. Because I've seen a lot of Mickey ears on YouTube, but I didn't see any like this with a blinged out jack. I could probably put a little bit more glue because it dries clear. So I'm going to continue doing this. I'm not going to bore you with it. And then I will get back with you guys after I have glued all these individually, and then I put around the edge. Okay, now I put the next one on here. I have not glued these yet, and I'm not going to bore you guys with the gluing of it. It is, I must say, just the most tedious part, but it's worth it in the end. So I'm going to go ahead and glue this, and then I'll show you guys what it looks like, what the next step is. Alright guys, so this one is totally glued down. I'm going to let this one dry, and I'm going to show you the next step that I chose to do. Now on my pre-made ones, as you see, I got just random rhinestones. Different sizes. It didn't matter. So I'm going to go ahead and do that because he's pretty much dry. I'll just be really careful. And this part was super easy because I just kind of put them everywhere, and I did different sizes. Alright, maybe a little one there. Alright, so of course, it's all up to you guys. You might not want to do it, just leave it plain in the back. I just wanted to give it a little something extra. And I like this part because you don't have to sit there and be too precise with these things. Now this craft glue dries white, but I did notice last time it did leave like a little clear, you could tell it was glued on there, but I don't think anybody's gonna sit there and notice that small of a detail, that it's got a clear glue ring around it. And I will tell you what I did learn from my first pair of ears that I made. I've just want to share it with you guys. It might be helpful. As soon as I do these last two, I will tell you what that is. Alright. So I pretty much am going to do that with the other ear once that dries, and then we'll move on to the next step. But I do want to share with you something that I learned. Alright, so like I said, I've learned a few things. for this first one that I made, because I was experimenting, I actually used cardboard, and then I had some black foam. And now this is that like really flimsy stuff. So I actually cut 2 of these out. I glued them. Obviously, I cut them out. I glued them on here, and then I continued this process. Well, I cut that whole process out, that whole cutting and gluing, by just using the black foam board. That's one thing I learned. The next thing I learned was I started by using my glue gun. I don't know if I mentioned that on this one. And the strings were just getting stuck to the rhinestones or crystals, and just, it was a nightmare. No pun intended. So then that's why I went ahead and started using this just little glue. It's much easier. And the third thing was to cover this seam. Since I had used the corrugated cardboard, I used ribbon, as you can see. But I thought of something better, and it's also got bling to it. This bling on a string. Bling on a roll is what it's called. And if you actually, I was just trying to find an easier way. You can cut this, and I'm just gonna use this for an example. I'm sure I'll use it some other time. This, now since this is black, you don't have to finish it off with anything. But if you choose to, look. This bling on a string is the perfect size to trim out the ears. I haven't decided whether or not I want to on this one. I probably will. I'm not too sure yet. But anyway, that's just another option rather than using any kind of ribbon, because it's so thin. It's, I believe, 1/16 of an inch. But anyway, yeah. There you go. There's another option for you. Just cut it to size and then glue it down on the edges. I think it might look a little fancy. But, alright, I'm going to let this dry. I'm going to do the same thing after this one dries. Put some random, and then we will move on to the next step. And we only have a couple more steps and we're done. Alright guys, so here is my first pair that I made. Pretty cool. And here is the pair that I just made today for you guys. Or with you guys. With you guys and for you guys. There you go. They will never be identical, of course, because that would be pretty difficult to do. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know it's a DIY, but it was a Disney DIY. And we love Disney. Alright, well, I'll be wearing these very, very soon. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed it. And we will see you guys next time. Bye.